Hey guys, it's Damien from Marketing Food Online. I've got another resource video. I'm going to show you guys something that's super important, actually. And this was a question that was brought up to me by several subscribers. And I've now had a few minutes to kind of take some time to explain what I'm going to talk about. The question was, what is the difference between a best by date or expiration date? Why do they differ, and what exactly do they mean? Of course, as you may know, you go to the grocery store, you see that on a lot of food products. Some items you may not see it on. But something surprisingly that I've actually kind of opened my eyes to, and I was kind of on the fence about, was whether it was required by the FDA to actually have a best by or expiration date on food products. And to my surprise, the answer is no, except for infant formula and baby food. So this is interesting. I'm going to show you two resources that I came up with this information and found this information out. It's very interesting. So if the question one in particular was, I had one of my subscribers was asking about selling products at a farmer's market, and a customer would buy it, but they had not consumed it yet or had not eaten it, and it's kind of still at the house, maybe a month or two, or maybe a couple months after the purchase time. So they want to just be sure that if we put a best by date or an expiration date, do we have to? Is it legally required? How do you judge that, etc. So here's what I found. Okay, so number one, this is a great website. It's called Eat by Date. Eatbydate.com, and this is a definition of expiration date and best by dates. Okay, so food can actually be sold after the date expires. So stores are not legally, and I'll highlight this for you, stores are not legally required to remove food from the shelf once the expiration date has passed. The expiration dates are strictly advisory in nature and are left entirely to the discretion of the manufacturer, so thus not truly indicative of the item's shelf life. Okay, so that's something I actually was unaware of, that it can be sold, because all the years that I worked in stores, we always, if we had within a couple of days, it was 2 to 3 day window. If, let's say, eggs were expiring on the 12th and it was the 10th or the 9th, we would actually traditionally pull it off the shelf and discard it, because within a couple of days or so, if that wasn't purchased and a customer saw that it was an expired by that 12th of the month, then they probably wouldn't buy it. It would need to be pulled anyways. So many of the retailers that I worked with had us actually just pull products within a day or two of that expiration date that was marked. But legally, they are actually not required to remove it. Okay. Now, the second thing was, the food dates are not required by law. So the other thing this was quite interesting, was, with the exception of infant formula and baby food, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, does not require food companies to place dates on their foods. Now, this may be kind of conflicting, because then you go down here, and then local states have their own laws. Okay, laws will vary by state, and it will vary for the food dating. For example, many states require milk and perishable items be sold before the expiration date. So when you go to the store and you pick up a gallon of milk, and the day you bought it, it says expired on that date, it technically hasn't expired. It's not like that. There's a time clock that immediately within that day, it's obviously bad and needs to be thrown out. You have several days to even maybe a week or so after that before. And again, this isn't advice for you to go to buy expired foods and such, but I'm just letting you know that there's not like a time clock inside of the gallon of milk that within the day that you actually buy it is supposed to expire. It's kind of a general guideline saying that you need to consume it very quickly, because within the matter of a reasonable amount of time, it's going to expire and be bad. That the FDA doesn't require these types of things. It was quite interesting, except, of course, infant formula. And the reason for this, I'm going to show you another site. The reason for this, I found out, is actually the quality and the nutrients that the baby has to consume, vitamins and minerals and such. The quality of those actually begin to deteriorate and to go down. And that's why they keep these expiration or expiration dates on the baby formula and the food products, specifically for babies, because they are in need of those nutrients. But as time goes on, they actually degrade and they go down in the quality and value for the baby itself. So that's one reason why they do that. So let me show you this. This is a great website right here. foodsafetynews.com. If you guys want to write that down, and just if you want to learn more about what you're doing, if you're going to start a food business, this information on this site is amazing. It's a huge, huge resource. All kinds of great allergy information, up-to-date news that's happening and such. So this is fantastic website. So let me show you right here. So how to use a best by dates on your food. So the best by date, and I'm right here, guys. The best by date or use by date is a guidance for your consumer to get the best experience of the product. Okay, this is Vice President of Consumer and Community Affairs for the Communications for the Food Marketing Institute, the FMI. If you're not familiar with them, you need to check them out as well. FMI, the Food Marketing Institute. His name is David Fikes. Okay, so a sell by date is geared toward the retailer. Okay, it's really just an issue of a person purchasing a product and it needs to be sold from the retailer. So the retailer knows that that product needs to kind of get off the shelf, I guess you could say, and into the hands of a consumer by a certain date. Okay, it doesn't mean, again, that there's like a ticking time bomb inside that on a specified date that it's going to go bad or it turns into something that's completely unconsumable. That's just not how that works. And remember that, as Mr. Fike says here, just like I just stated, they put an expiration date on that basically for the infant formula. Babies rely, as I mentioned, on the nutrients in the formula and the food that they eat. So they have to have that by a certain time in order for that to be a quality nutrient that they're consuming, okay? And I will get too much technical into it, but to understand the fact that a best by date is used much differently, it has a different explanation and different explanation than a expiration date. Okay, so here's the answer to the question: if you're producing something and you're selling at a farmer's market, and you're wanting to figure out how do I tell the customer, you know what, this is really going to be good by a certain date, not necessarily expiration, but it's good by a certain date. I would say, and I've actually done this with our cookies when we did cookies. When a customer buys it from you and walks away, and you have the packaged product in their hand, put on the label, quality is best by, and then just give it I would give it a week's window. I sell our cookies. When we started out, I actually put on there for best quality, consume, and then within 5 to 7 days. Okay, that's it. So you basically have yourself covered. If your label states that and the customer buys it and it's on the label, and you know what, 2 months later they eat it and they get sick off of it, I mean, you've got yourself covered because you've got it on all your labels, and it's for best quality, consume within 7 days. And I've actually seen that, as a matter of fact, on a ton of products that I got at Whole Foods. There's a lot of stuff that's sold at Whole Foods that don't have preservatives, so they have a very short window of freshness. So put that on your label, and that will protect you to a point, up to the fact that someone consumes it 3 months down the road. That's way out of control, and obviously nobody would keep a fresh product for 3 months and then eat it. The label states on there, for best quality, consume within 7 days, 5 to 7 days. And most of the cookies that we actually sold at fairs and festivals and farmers markets, to believe it or not, most of it is actually consumed there. The customer buys it, they snack on it, they eat it while they walk around. And this is kind of a first as far as hearing the question about someone buying it, taking it home, and it sits there for 2 months. That's just, it's kind of a common sense thing. But to protect yourself, I would definitely add that to your label, and then just call it a day, And if you want to, you can even mention that, hey, you know what? Thank you for your purchase. Just keep in mind these are fresh and we don't have preservatives. So for best quality, we recommend consume it within 5 to 7 days. After that point, it would be best to dispose of it. Okay. So if you want to educate yourself a little bit more, want to learn more about this, check out these two sites, foodsafetynews.com. And definitely, if you have any questions or anything further about this, just let me know in the description down below. So as always, guys, I appreciate your time, and I hope this resource was helpful in explaining to you the difference between best by and expiration dates. So do have a good one, and thank you, guys.